Right now, we want to bring in Hong Kong legislator Emily Lau. Hong Kong's incumbent leader, Donald Tsang, easily won re-election to govern the territory for another 5 years. Tsang took a majority of the 772 valid votes cast over pro-democracy opponent Alan Leong. It was the first ever contested elections for the leadership position. Tsang has vowed to come up with a plan to bring democracy to Hong Kong by 2012, but he stopped short, though, of saying when such a plan would be implemented. Let's get to Emily Lau now. She's a legislator in Hong Kong. She joins us from our studios up that side. Emily, good morning. Nice to have you with us. For you, did it matter at all that Alan Leong contested these polls?
Well, it's not the first contested election, because in 1996, a few months before China took over Hong Kong, there was a contested election too. At that time, there were 400 voters, so it's really not that historic. And what we Hong Kong people want is the right to vote, and not a fake contest. So let's get things right first.
All right, and let's get to that question now, which is direct suffrage, being able to elect, among other people, your own CE, chief executive. When is that realistically going to happen, do you think?
I don't know. Last week, Mr. Donald Tsang met with some of the top echelon of the news media, and he said he would try to sort this out later this year and will publish a consultation document. But he said the universal suffrage that Emily Lau and her bunch wants can only be found in heaven. And he said that what he is going to propose...
And what's your response to that?
I think it's ludicrous because it can be found in many places. And he went on to make a very racist remark, saying that his proposal is going to be some mixed blood, a mongrel proposal. It's not a pure breed. I mean, it's really very vulgar for the chief executive to say things like that. But I really don't know when real universal suffrage would take place.
Betty?
Well, Emily, on the positive side, though, okay, let me just play a little bit devil's advocate. I mean, can't you say, though, at the very least, what happened this time around is a positive step towards direct suffrage, that at some point Hong Kong will indeed have universal suffrage?
Well, what I don't want to see is that for Beijing and others to say, wow, great, there's competition, there's a show, there's television, and so on, a debate. So next time round, in 5 years, we will come and perform another show, which is what you people want, and then they'll go away, and then Beijing will come back in another 5 years, and the show goes on. That would be very, very tragic.
Yeah, Emily, let me jump in here. I mean, I think nobody would dispute that since '97 or even before that, Hong Kong has become more politicized than it ever has before as a society. Not too long ago, I remember, and I was there, we had, 500,000 people on the streets demonstrating. Are you concerned that the development of democracy in Hong Kong is happening so slowly and at a pace dictated so clearly by Beijing that people like yourself, that pro-democracy demonstrators in groups in Hong Kong are losing faith or losing energy?
Well, we have to do what we can. We are representative of the people here. But you're right to say that Beijing is interfering in Hong Kong affairs left, right, and central. And this so-called election was really marshaled by Beijing. Beijing collected the votes for Donald Tsang. Beijing was there yesterday monitoring, marshalling every move. So under that sort of tight Beijing control, it will be really difficult for Hong Kong to have true democracy.
Well, Emily, okay, to be fair, Donald Tsang is he's relatively popular here in Hong Kong, and he's considered pretty much a moderate. I mean, he is... of course, some have said that he's had deaf ears in terms of listening to some of the problems here in Hong Kong, but he is addressing those issues now, pollution, all of that. I mean, Beijing would never pick somebody here in Hong Kong who was not a moderate, who did not listen to both sides. Do you think?
Yes, maybe there's some sort of influence by the public, especially if they decide to demonstrate in huge numbers. And that's why Mr. Tong stepped down. But I think the main reason that Mr. Tong stepped down in early 2005 was that there was a change in leadership in Beijing, because Mr. Tong was appointed by President Jiang Zemin. And Jiang Zemin stepped down, and when President Hu Jintao came along and found Tong very unpopular and not competent, so he was told to go. So what we want, if Mr. Tsang had stood in a real election, maybe he would have won too. That's fine. What we want is the democratic system, so we can put in place the leaders of Hong Kong.
All right, fair enough. Emily, we'll have to let it go there. Very good to talk to you, man. Thank you for your time. Emily Lau, their legislator in Hong Kong.